little minutes late start. Our apologies. Before we start, we would like to also add our condolences to the Mandela family for the loss of their daughter, Usisi Zinzi. We would like to pass our sincere condolences as government. Having said that, following the address to the nation by the President yesterday, we will now be appraising South Africa of the regulations that we will be putting in place as it relates to the address that the President made. I will not be the one to do that. We have Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and Minister Ronald Lamula, who will speak to that item. May I now call Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma.
Should I take it off?
Yes, so that they can see.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, ministers and ladies and gentlemen of the media. Again, our apologies for starting late. But we'd like to thank you for taking time to be with us so that we can elaborate on the added measures announced by the President, which were gazetted last night. Indeed, we are rapidly approaching the eye of the storm with over 76,242 total cases and 12,058 new infections between Saturday and Sunday. And of course, we have now gone over 4,000 deaths. We also acknowledge that the situation would have been worse had we not, led by the President, taken the extraordinary measures and precautions that were taken earlier in the pandemic. But despite that, we are bearing mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, breadwinners, sons, daughters, grandchildren, relatives on a daily basis. Even in our portfolio as COGTA, last week we had funeral of the MEC for Corporate Governance in Northwest. We also had in the Traditional Affairs the funeral of Her Majesty, the Regent of Makakabe. And there are lots more. We just had the stalwart Tom Matata, and this morning we woke up to the sad news. And of course, many others that I cannot mention. And our condolences to the families, to the friends, to colleagues who have lost their loved ones. Indeed, this disease knows no class, no gender, no race, no social status. Therefore, it means we must all work together to protect one another. No one is safe until we're all safe. So we must approach this pandemic as maybe what the President once said, that it's like being at war. We're at war with an invisible enemy, that we are the ones who move it around, but we see the results of this virus, not only in South Africa, but across the world. So when we announced earlier the risk-adjusted strategy, and according to that strategy, we're still at level 3, and we did indicate that we are easing the lockdown. At the time, the numbers were going up. And we were forced to do that because of our unique situation, where we had to balance lives, saving lives, and saving livelihoods. But it doesn't mean that we are no longer in a lockdown. We still are, but we have allowed a lot of economic activities precisely for that balance. So the announcements by the President yesterday were to assist us, all of us, to be able to combat this virus and to slow down the spread of the virus. We had said earlier, much earlier in this pandemic, that we all have to wash our hands when we touch surfaces. We must sanitize, because the virus can be taken from surfaces. When you touch your mouth, your nose, your eyes, then you can get it. We said we must also wear masks, because we know that this virus, when you cough, when you sneeze, even when you sing, even when you breathe heavily, you can spread it. So when you wear a mask, you are not only protecting yourself, but you are protecting those around you. And we had said every single person must wear a mask. And if you don't have a formal mask, you can take a scarf, you can take a shawl, you can take a t-shirt, you can take a piece of cloth, you can put it around your nose and mouth to protect everyone. So the President announced that now that is mandatory. Everyone is now it's mandatory to wear a face mask, because it is one of the measures that is at our disposal to protect ourselves and to protect people around us. So the provision in the regulations now says the mandatory wearing of the face mask or any face mask, cloth mask, or anything that you can use to cover your mouth and nose whilst you are in public. And it also says that you can't enter transport, any form of transport, public transport, without wearing a mask. So the drivers must make sure everyone who enters their transport has a mask. But it's not only the responsibility of the driver. Us as passengers, we must also make sure that nobody comes into the taxi where we're in without wearing a mask. It must be a collective responsibility to ensure that everyone does wear a mask. Not only in transport, but when you go into any public space, you have to wear a mask. In the building, in the shops, everywhere, we must wear a mask. And we must be, you know, the Christians and the Bible says you must be your brother's keeper. I suppose you must be your brother and your sister's keeper. What does that mean? That means you must have an interest in the well-being of everybody else, not just yourself. So this is one area where we have to ensure that we assist those who are not wearing masks to wear masks, even at the schools, even in ECDs, everywhere, government buildings. There must be somebody where the buck stops in terms of ensuring that the mask is worn. And so the owners, the managers of buildings, the owners, the managers of transport, the drivers must make sure that a mask is worn. And if it's not, there are penalties to it. And this is necessary because it's one of the tools that we have to try and combat this. We do not want to see too many people getting infected, but even more importantly, we don't want to see people dying when we can at least contribute to saving their lives. Social distancing still remains, and it's also all our responsibilities. It's not just one person's responsibility that social distancing is kept. And social distancing is kept not only when you are sitting in meetings, but it means that we should avoid activities that lend themselves to not keeping to those responsibilities. That's why social activities are still not allowed. Social gatherings are still not allowed. So one of the things that we know becomes difficult when people are sitting together enjoying to continuously wear masks is also alcohol. And that's what the president announced yesterday, that the sale, the transportation, and the dispensation of alcohol is not allowed except for export, except for alcohol that is transported to manufacture sanitizers and similar things. And also when the companies who produce it have to take it to the depots, but alcohol will not be sold and it should not be transported. And this is very important because even people know when people are drinking in groups, they let their guard down. They will not be wearing masks even when they are not at the point drinking. Their mask will go, and then even the social distancing will go. And then the spread will happen, and we've seen it in many instances. So it means, in itself, the way it socially brings people together. It discourages people from using masks, social distancing, sanitizing. But more importantly, when people have taken liquor, they get drunk, they indulge in irresponsible behavior. Some of them become violent, start fighting, killing each other, or even at home, they become violent. So, and what happens? And when they get into their cars, they start driving recklessly, creating accidents. And what happens? Those people have to be rushed to hospital who are either injured in car accidents or people who are injured in the fights, they get taken to hospital and they become an emergency, which means then they are taking now space that should be used to look after people who are ill and people who have COVID. Some of them may need theaters, some of them may need ICU beds, ventilators, and taking away from those who are ill and who need it from COVID. But not only that, but they also take away the medical personnel who should be in ICU looking after people who have got COVID and other diseases. Now they have to attend to those. So what happens then? ICU gets full, beds in hospital get full, and then people who would need those beds will not have access to them. It is for that reason as well that the cabinet has decided that we need to suspend the sale of alcohol, transportation and dispensing of alcohol. And again, this is a collective responsibility. It's not just government alone and the police who should ensure that this is kept, but all of us, we have a responsibility. We're in it together, government, people, all of us have to work together to make sure that this is understood, but also implemented. It should be our responsibility when we see somebody still selling alcohol to say to that person, don't sell alcohol, otherwise we'll call the police. It should be everybody's responsibility. Communities must also ensure that in their communities, these regulations are adhered to. And of course, the media has a big responsibility also in this. But what we also noticed, as the president said, people were gathering and groups, partying and so on. But also, we must just keep reminding ourselves that the virus doesn't move. The virus is moved by people. It's spread by people. It has no capacity to come from me and go round to everybody else. It is me who would move it, if it is you who will move it. So part of limiting the movement of people is actually to limit the spread of the virus. And I think we should understand it in that way. Not that government is limiting our rights. Of course, the government is trying to limit the spread of the virus, because the spread happens through the movement of people. It is for that reason that the curfew has been brought back from 2100 hours or 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. But of course, those who have to be at work during those hours will have permission to do so, and their employers will give them the necessary papers to make sure that when they are found during that period, the police know that they have a reason to be out. And of course, if there are medical emergencies, security emergencies, that would be understood. But generally, we are still saying, stay at home, go to work, come back from work and stay at home. And this is for our collective protection. Because the Minister of Transport will elaborate on this, but transport, taxis, they also have to keep to the health protocols, sanitization, masks, and the taxis have been allowed 100% for short distance, but 70% for long distance. So I won't elaborate too much on that because the Minister of Transport, I'm sure, will do a good job of elaborating. And because, again, we're still trying to limit the movement of people, but also big crowds, the utilization of parks will be allowed for walking, keeping the distance, wearing a mask, but going to the beach is still not permitted because people tend to gather in huge numbers there, and health feels, and we all feel, that if people are in large numbers and they are talking, breathing, not social distancing, that can spread the virus, and it can spread it to many, many more people. So that is why it is still not allowed. And also visiting family is still not allowed because just by its very nature, when you get to a friend, to a family place, the instinct is to come near them. The instinct is to hug them. But also, social distancing doesn't usually happen. But more importantly, is the intergenerational nature of also families and friends. Because younger people could be all over, walking about, working, and they may be carrying a virus, sometimes not even knowing they are asymptomatic, but they visit an elderly mother, aunt, grandmother, uncle, or whatever, and find that they then contract the virus and have very serious illness, and sometimes they pass away. We've seen that is very possible. Remembering that we, from WHO, from our own experts here, have been announcing that people who are over 60 must remain at home as far as it's possible because they are at risk of the virus. And we have been saying people with comorbidities, and we know that comorbidities tend to be more prevalent in the older age group. So they are more at risk, not only of getting the virus, but also of getting a much more serious virus, and the mortality rate rises very quickly with age. From 60 upwards, it gets worse and worse and worse. So it is for that reason that we are still not allowing the visits, except under exceptional circumstances, if there's somebody ill, if there's a death, or those are understood. The interprovincial travel is still not allowed except under special conditions, going to a funeral or going on a work trip or business trip. Why? Because we know that the areas that are densely populated tends to be the areas that are economic hubs, but they are the ones who have even more infections. You can see what's happening in Gauteng, you can see what's happening in the Cape, you can see what's happening in Durban, and in the Eastern Cape along the sea, those cities. So, but because of that movement, we are seeing other provinces that initially were not having many infections. Now their infections are also rising pretty quickly. So this is why interprovincial visits will still not be allowed except under those conditions. And of course, we just want to clarify the issue of hotels, bed and breakfast, lodges, and all those kind of accommodation, that they are not allowed for leisure. It's only for quarantine purposes, isolation purposes. If you are on a work trip or on a business trip, they are open for that, but not like just saying, I'll call my kids and my cousins, let's go and stay in a lodge and enjoy our best lives. No, that is still not allowed. And of course, auctions are being allowed, but under very strict protocols. And I think the relevant ministers will also elaborate on those. But I also just want to stress that this is really the fight against COVID. In the world, I think we're number 25 in terms of population size, but already we're number 10 in the number of cases, and in the number of cases a day, you are even more advanced. So we need to take every measure, do everything to really protect this beautiful nation of ours. Ngizothi nje qaphaqaphu futhi ngesiZulu ukuthi sila futhi sizokhuluma ngale sifo, ngaleli gciwane okuthiwa i-corona elenza lesifo okuthiwa i-COVID-19. I-COVID-19 siyayibona iyadlondlobala, isigcwele yonke indawo, ithatha imphefumulo eminingi yeyihlobo, yabangani, yabalingani. Ziningi ihlobo, baningi abantu asebedlulile emhlabeni ngenxa yaso lesifo. Manje sifuna ukugcizelela ukuthi yonke izinto ezimenyezelwe umongameli izolo ezokusiza siyisizwe ukuthi sibhekane nalempi esibhekene nayo. Yimpi lesibhekene nayo, okubuhlungu ukuthi sibhekene nesitha esingabonakali. Leli gciwane libonakala, kodwa imphumela yazo siyayibona. Ayimihle. Siyabona abantu bayashiya emhlabeni. Kodwa kufuneka sikhumbule ukuthi leli gciwane alikwazi ukuhamba lisungeze lingene kuwo wonke umuntu. Lihanjiswa abantu, lihanjiswa ithina. So uma thina singazithiba, uma thina singahamba ngoba kufanele, siye endaweni ngoba kufanele, ingekho enye indlela, singakwazi ukuthi leli gciwane sithi ukulikhalima. Umongameli umemezeli izolo ukuthi ukugqokwa kwesifonyo lesi esivala umlomo nekhala sekuwumthetho, akuseyona into ebesisho nje ukuthi kwenzeni manje sekuwumthetho. Uma ungagcinwa umthetho siyazi-ke ukuthi kwenzekani. Kuthiwa ke noma ungenayo imask awukwazi ukuthi hayi mina ngihamba nje ngomlomo wami nekhala lami livulekile emphakathini ngoba nginayo imask. Ungathatha noma yini onayo, ungathatha noma i-t-shirt onayo, noma iskipo sinayo, noma isikhafu onaso, noma yini onayo uyifake la. Uvale umlomo namakhala. Wenzelani? Wenzela ukuthi uziphephise kuleli gciwane. Kodwa wenzeli kuphela ukuthi uziphephise wena. Wenzela ukuthi uphephise nalabo abaseduze kwakho ohamba kubona. Ngakho-ke uhulumeni uthi awukwazi ukungena etekisini noma ebhasini noma esitimeleni ungasifakile lesifonyo imask. Umshayeli kufanele angakuvumeli ungene. Kodwa nabantu abasetekisini kufuneka bangavumi umuntu angena engayifakile imask. Mayise ngenile futhi etekisini kufanele ahlale egqokile azayofika la iyakhona. Lesifo sifuna ukuthi sithandane, sibhekane, sikhuzane. Uma ubona nje ngihamba lapha emgaqweni ngafakile imask, akufanele ukuthi umsebenzi wamaphoyisa iwona azombona. Kufanele ukuthi minister, Nkosazana, kwenze njani? Iphi imask? Khipha le bhantshi oligqokile ulifake la emlonyeni libe imask. Ngoba aningazi noma ngihamba nje lesifo anginaso. Nami kungenzeka ukuthi angazi noma nginaso noma nginaso. Kodwa aniphephisi mina kuphela, niziphephisa nani. So ila kufanele ngempela manje sithandane, sikhuzane, sibonisane. Mawungena ebuilding elisebenza umphakathi, kufanele ukuthi umnikazi webhilidi noma lowo omanager lelo bhilidi enze isiqiniseko sokuthi akekho umuntu ongena kulelo bhilidi engafakile imask, engasanithayizile. Akekho umuntu ongena kulelo bhilidi athi mayisengenile akhumula imask ayihambele nje. Fanele umuntu angene efake imask, ahlale egqoka imask. Nami ngikhulumule nje ngoba nisuke nithi angizwa mangigqoka imask. Ngokomthetho nje bekufanele ngabe ngigqokile noma ngikhuluma. So sekuyicala ke ukungayifaki imask. Sekuyicala ke ukuthi singene la Union Building singefakile ama-mask. Noma ikuphi, noma kusesitolo, noma ikuphi la kukhona khona umphakathi, imask iyafuneka. Njengoba ngisho lokho kwenzela ukuthi igciwane lingabhebhetheki phakathi kwethu, sivikelane nathi sizivikele. Ngoba akekho phephile uma sonke singaphephile. So sonke kufanele sibe naleyo ngqondo ukuthi angiphephile abanye mabengaphephile, abaphephile uma mina ngingaphephile. So angiphephile uma nina ningawafakile ama-mask, aniphephile uma mina ngayifakile imask. Kufanele ukuthi sibe naleyo ngqondo. Njengoba ngisho ukuthi sikhumbuzane ukuthi empeleni legciwane alihambi lihanjiswa yithina. Kukhona-ke izinto esithi masizenza zenza ukuthi sikhohlwe nali lemthetho yokuvikela igciwane. Uma sihlangene senza iphathi, siphuza, sibaningi, asukwazi ukuthi siqaqane njengoba sihleli la, sihleli ngokuqaqana. Asizuyigqoka imask ngoba sibhizi sibambe ibhodlela ngapha ziyaduma. Sizophefumula, sikhwehlele, sithintane, igciwane lona litholi indlela yokuthi ligcwale. enye into eqoqa abantu ukuthi benze lezo zinto utshwala. Lakhona khona utshwala abantu bayaqoqana. Bajabule. Mase bejabulile sebephuzile abanye sebedakiwe kuqala inkathazo yokuthi abayigcina imithetho yokuvikela igciwane, inkathazo yokuthi baqala balwe balimazane kube isiphithiphithi. Uma sebehamba la kade beqoqene khona sebengene emotweni zabo sebeshayela umayithanda la emgaqweni sebelimaza abantu aba-innocent. Sekwenzekani? Sebeye esibhedlela. Mabefike esibhedlela belimele, begwaziwe, bedutshuliwe, beshayiwe, sebe isimo esiphuthumayo, sekuyi-emergency. Sekufanele manje kubhekwe bona. Sekufanele ukuthi odokotela nonesi nabanye bagijime beze kubona bashiye iziguli lezi eziphethwe i-COVID neziphethwe ezinye izifo. Sekufanele mhlamba abanye baye theater, abanye sekufanele baye ICU, baye critical care, kusho ukuthi abantu abayidingayo lembheda abasayitholi. Nabalingiswa iy'moto ngokunjalo. Ngakho ke sizama ukuthi njengoba umongameli eshilo ke siyeke ukuthengisa nokushushumbisa utshwala nokukhipha utshwala nje ake sibiyeke. Akusho ukuthi sithi sibiyeke unonke. Sibiyeke okwesikhashana kusekhona legciwane sisalwa nalempi. Awekho amasosha athi elwimpi abephuza utshwala edakiwe azolwa kanjani? Sonke samasosha manje okulwa nalesifo. Ngakho ke sonke kufuneka sihlale si right ukuthi yonke into yokulwa nalesifo sibhekana nayo. So utshwala ke abusezuthengiswa, abusezutransportwa, abusezukhishwa noma ikuphi. Senzela ukuthi imbhede ezibhedlela ibe khona uma abantu begula. Senzela ukuthi odokotela nonesi babe khona makufika abantu abagulayo. Nako lokhu akufanelanga ukuthi si organize ukuthi no as organize mina bengisenabo nawe ubusenabo sangayenza iphathi ake si bhekane nalesifo makade usenabo uyobona msubiza abantu ukuthi bazophuza ngoba kuzuba mnandi masubizwa ngamasonto amabili ezayo sekuthiwa uzomncwaba lo muntu ngoba wathola i-COVID kade umbizile ephathini. Noma kwawena sekwenzeka into enjalo siyanicela nje sonke nje ake sizwane sithandane sikhuzane nje uma umbone omunye bheke eceleni umkhuze. Enye into ke ehambisa isifo njengoba ngishilo ukuhamba kwabantu. Sicela ukuthi manje ngoba sisekwi-lockdown njengoba sasichazile ukuthi sivula kancane ngoba isimo sethu somnotho sala eSouth Africa sinzima. Noma izinamba zikhuphuka kodwa imisebenzi yavulwa ngoba isimo asisihle. Kushuthi ke noma uye emsebenzini ubuyele ekhaya. Ungabi uvanzi nje. Mhlambe kazalusile. Ubuyele ekhaya wenzelani? Wenzela ukuthi uzivikele, uvikele nomndeni, uvikele nabanye. Uphume ngoba kukhona isidingo sokuthi uphume ongakwazi ukusivimba leso sidingo. kodwa makuyisidingo mhlawumbe ama-slippers ami asethanda ukuba madala, mhlawumbe usangahlala nalowo ma-slippers phela u-3 months ungayanga ukuwathenga esitolo. Kusho ukuthi lokho akusona isidingo ongeke ukwazi ukusifimba. Siyacela-ke le mthetho asiyenzeli ukuthi sifune ukunibopha. Le mthetho yenzela ukuthi sivikelane. Ngakho-ke seyiyabuya-ke lento okuthiwa i-curfew, ukuthi ngaphandle ma uyi-essential worker noma uyi-permitted worker ukuthi uvumelekile ukuthi usebenze ebusuku. So mhlawumbe uqala ngo-10 ukusebenza, so uzovumeleka ukuthi uhambe uye emsebenzini ngo-10 ebusuku. Kodwa uma ingekho ungayena lowo msebenzi, ungekho nje into ekudinga ukuthi uphume ekhaya, ngo-9 kufanele ubususekhaya. Futhi ngaba kuhle nje uphume emsebenzini uqonde ekhaya, noma ungazulinda u9, phume nje emsebenzini, ube umama, usisi, ubhuti, ukhulu, ubaba, othi mephume emsebenzini aqonde ekhaya. Siyacela-ke ngempela ngoba sizama ukuthi sinciphise ukuhamba kwabantu, ngoba ukuhamba kwabantu ukuhamba kwegciwane, ukuhamba kwabantu kusakazeka kwegciwane. So sizama ukuthi lokho kuhamba kunciphe. So kusho ukuthi sukela ngo-9 ebusuku kuya ngo-4 ekuseni kufanele wonke umuntu abe sekhaya, ngaphandle uma une-permit nesidingo sokuthi ungabi sekhaya. Okunye futhi ukuthi manihambe ematekisini, mawuhamba indlela emfushane ingagcwali itaxi, 100% akasho 150, kusho 100. Ingagcwala itaxi ibe 100%, kodwa mawuhamba indlela ende kufanele ibe 70%. Lokho kuzochazwa kabanzi umphathiswa ophathiswe ezokuthutha. So angizugxila-ke kakhulu kona ngoba usazofika akhulume kabanzi ngako. Njengoba ngilongcizelela ukuthi igciwane alihambi, lihanjiswa yithina, lisakazwa yithina. So indaba yokuya emapaki, kuthi umuntu angaya emapaki mangabe ukuthi uthatha iwalk noma uya-exercise, kodwa agcina imithetho yokuthi kuqaqanwe, gcina imithetho yokuthi kufakwe imask. Ngaphandle-ke mawenza ama-exercise anzima, adinga uphefumule kakhulu, kodwa uMinister wezempilo uzochaza ukuthi imaphi lawo ma-exercise ongavunyelwa ukuthi ngesikhathi uwenza uyikhiphe imask. Uzochaza kabanzi, enze nama-directions kuleyo ndawo. Kodwa nje mawuye epark, uyowalka, uyowenza nje i-exercise, uvunyelwe, kodwa kufuneka niqaqane, imask, konke lokho. Kodwa ukuya olwandle akukavunyelwa. Ngobani ema-beach? Ngoba ama-beach avamise ukuthi nje kugcwale. Abe-health nathi sisonke masibonisana, sibonile ukuthi ama-beach ake athukuma ngoba kuyagcwala. Njengoba isifo singaka, asazi ukuthi makunesixuku e-beach bangaka abantu abanalesifo abazobe bethelela abanye. Ngakho-ke akukavunyelwa-ke kona. Nokusuka uye kwenye iprovince, ngaphandle makuyi ilezi zinto esizibalile ukuthi uye emngcwabeni, ngoba umngcwabo awukwazi ukulinda ukuthi kuze kuphele i-COVID, noma uya ngokomsebenzi noma ngokwebhizinisi. Kodwa nje ukuthi nje ngisuke nje ngivuke ngithi ngakhumbula ukuya eMpumalanga, safuna ukuya eGod's window. Cha, akavunyelwa lokho. Ngoba njengoba la sila eGauteng, niyawabona inombolo zala eGauteng ukuthi zingakanani. Kanti labantu bebaningi kakhulu la eGauteng, ila futhi imisebenzi iminingi la eGauteng. So mawusuke eGauteng, usuke esizindeni salesifo, bese uyasithatha usisa kwenye province. Sesikubonile kwenzekile manje nalamanye ama province abengathi angconywana ngendaba yalesifo ayakhuphuka manje ngokusheshsha. So sizama ukuthi ke ake singahambi siye kwamanye ama province ngaphandle mawune permit yokuya emncwabeni, ngobuya ngomsebenzi, ngobuya ngokwebusiness. Neindawo ke lezi esihlala kuzona masingcebeleka, ama-hotel, ama-lodge, ama-bread and breakfast, zonke lezo zinto. Uma uhamba ngokomsebenzi kulungile ngoba into ongeke ukwazi ukuyiyeka. Mawuhamba ngokwebusiness, kodwa mawuthi nje uyangcebeleka nje ufuna ukuqoqa abangani bakho noma izihlobo zakho niyongcebeleka, cha akavunyelwa lokho. Awavunyelwe ukuthi athathe abantu abazongcebeleka. Ngesizathu esifanayo njengoba singakavunyelwa nokuthi sivakashelane imindeni. Ngaphandle makukhona ogulayo noma yabo kushoniwe, kodwa nje akumnandi khona ukungavakashelani, kodwa akuzuba mnandi ukuthi makade ngivakashela ugogo wami. Emva kwensuku ezinhlanu ugogo useyagula useyashona. Sekutholakala ukuthi bengiyi-positive. Ugogo wayithola washona noma uma noma ubaba. So leyo nto njengoba kade sichaza ukuthi abantu abadala kufuneka bahlale emakhaya, basebenzele emakhaya makwenzeka, ngoba lesifo masibangenile sivamisa ukuthi sibe nzima kakhulu isikhathi esiningi futhi sihambe nemphefumulo yabo. Indawo zama-auction nazo zivuliwe kodwa zi-strict ngama-health protocols. Le mithetho-ke esiyibekile njengoba umongameli eshilo ukuthi isiyasebenza. I-curfew kuphela ezoqala ngo-9 namhlanje, leneminye vele isiyasebenza. Kodwa-ke kungenzeka ukuthi mhlambe masenza le mithetho khona esingakubhekisisanga kahle, mhlambe singakunakisisanga kahle abantu abafuna ukukuphawula. Sizogazetha i-address lapho i-email lapho abafuna ukuphawula bengaphawula khona. Sizoyigazetha khona namhlanje. Sithumele nakubaba uMthemba nithumelele nani. Before I stop, I just want to say, yes, we are doing all this to try and make sure that this beautiful nation does not perish because of this virus. Ngike ngasho ukuthi emhlabeni ngokobuningi babantu so number 25 amashumi-25, but ngokwesifo sesu number 10. Ngeyinamba zabantu asebenalesifo. Kodwa masiya ngokuthi inamba zabantu ngelanga abathola lesifo siphambili kakhulu, mhlambe sila ko-5. So kubalekile ukuthi sikugcine. So we are going to gazette an email where if people feel that there are things that maybe we didn't look at, maybe there are things they want to comment on, they can comment. We will gazette the email. Actually, I have it on my cell phone there. I'll also give it to Minister Mthembu to announce it, so that those comments can be directed to that email. We are grateful for your patience, and we are grateful for all the efforts that everyone is making to protect themselves and to protect others. Let's continue to do so. It's in the interest of the nation. Thank you very much. Ngiyabonga.
May we once again thank Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, and also repeat what and confirm what she has said, that all the decisions and regulations that we put forward, we publicized yesterday, and that she has spoken to, all those are from cabinet. These are regulations that have been agreed upon by the cabinet of the Republic of South Africa. That will include everything, of course, that Mam Nkosazana said, and everything that the President said. Those are decisions of the cabinet of the Republic of South Africa. Having said that, we will now take questions. We have created a possibility of our media colleagues to interact with us through a WhatsApp so that they can ask their questions. They will not be able to call directly because we are in a facility that doesn't have the direct call infrastructure. But all media colleagues, I know that all of them are having our WhatsApp number. They will be able to ask questions, and I can assure you, Mam Nkosazana, they would have asked questions already now. So let's hear from Unongweba. Nongweba, so ikhona imibuzo sisi?
Yes, Minister, there are many.
There are many. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, as Mam Nkosazana said, the comments by South Africans on what we have said and what we said we are going to do, if there are any additions that they would like us to do, by all means, but we will make available the email address where such comments can be directed to. Mam Nkosazana has just sent me. We will also send them to you, Nongweba, so that the entire media fraternity will then have the email address where comments can be said. Can we then hear the questions?
Nadia Hannibal from Netwerk Vereniging is asking, regarding the regulations prohibiting family to visit elderly, especially those who are in old age homes, how is this justified in light of taxis being allowed to travel with 100% capacity when the elderly are not allowed to visit, are not allowed even one visitor? Is this not an infringement on their human rights? The second question from the same person is government planning to patrol roads and people moving around more stringently now. Must people have permits showing they are traveling for work? What about people transporting school children? Do those people need a permit? And how will you regulate people traveling for what reason? Alex Mitchley from News 24 is asking, the President spoke of the evidence behind the decision on the ban of alcohol, namely the strain on the health system due to alcohol-related traumas. Can you please tell us about evidence on the strain that tobacco has had on the health system during the pandemic? There's also another question from Alex, which is, will government be making funds available for the liquor industry in light of the suspension of the sale of alcohol? The fifth question is from Ninyanta Singh from The Witness. Can you provide clarity on what the President meant by family visits and other social activities won't be allowed, and how is this going to be enforced? Should I continue?
I think let's take them 5 at a time. I think the family visit has been repeated twice. Let's start with you, Minister Lamula, so that they can also see you and hear you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Tembu, Minister Dlamini Zuma, members of the media, and the participants and listeners, viewers at home. The issue of family visits, I think she has already explained the rationale with regard to the intergenerational mixture that it could cause, given the fact that we've already given an advisory that the elders, particularly those above 60, should stay at home. It therefore goes without saying that those of us who are still energetic and young, moving around, working, we therefore poses a risk when we go to, particularly the families where the elderly are, to visit and interact with them, because you will understand that in the house or in the family, it is an unregulated space where anything is happening, and the propensity to hug, to kiss, to do many things within the family, it's a very high possibility, and it's a difficult environment to really deal with and manage. And it is also this space that has also created the loophole of the private parties in the houses, in the private spaces, and various platforms that has led to some of the spike in the various parts of the country. And it is also not an easy space to really monitor and deal with issues of compliance from the enforcement perspective. So it is for that reason that that intermingling has still been prohibited, so that we only allow the issue of livelihoods for people to go to work and ensure that we are still able to function as a society. And that issue of permits is still applicable, but it will mostly be enforced during the curfew period between 9 and 4 a.m. because that is where someone will really have to prove that you are coming from or you are going to a permitted activity. So during the day, there are still many other things that can be done, which may not really need a permit, like going to a mall, going to a doctor for an emergency or to consult, and the various activities that do happen during the day. So mostly at night, that is where between 9 and 4, this issue will be mostly enforced to explain. But even during the day, if there is a need in public places and so forth, you could be asked, where are you going and so forth, because it is important for us that wherever we leave our places of residence, we do have a reason. If it is not necessary, let's stay at home and do our responsibilities, whatever that we can be expected to do, if it's possible to do it from home. And I think the last thing I could just add is with regard to the consultation that Minister did allude to, that we deem it necessary that people can still make their comments into the regulations, but the regulations are applicable with an immediate effect. We are doing this to ensure that we still get the views of the various members of the public and South Africans on various issues. And it has also been found that this method of consultation, particularly where it was impossible, such as this situation where we are in now, you can still consult while the regulations are in force. And there is, in reality, a very low requirement for us to really consult with regards to regulations, but because it's still a public debate whether that is necessary or not, we have decided that it is necessary that we do it, because some of these issues are still being debated in the various courts of our country. They may still be settled as a point of law. So at this stage, we have agreed that the public can still make the other any other comments on the regulations that they may deem necessary. On the other ones, I will leave it for the Minister of Cocta. I think she is better placed to help with some of the health issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think in terms of tobacco, first, tobacco has not been allowed since the lockdown. Secondly, the matters are in court, so I will not answer that one. The funds for the liquor industry, I think there are ministers who deal with industry. They will have ample opportunity to come before you and talk about what is going to happen. School transport, I'm not sure that there are kids who learn at night, because the curfew is during the night. During the day, people are allowed to go to school, and kids are allowed to go to school. So I wasn't sure quite what the question was trying to get. But for those who will have to go out during the curfew, that's when the permit is necessary. But of course, during the day, if you don't have to go out, don't go out. The old age homes, that's a difficult one, because if you look at the graphs of people who get COVID, of course, the majority of the people in this country are young. So the majority of people who get COVID are young, but the majority of those who die are the older ones. So I'm saying it's a difficult one, because we have to balance the life and the possibility of visitors bringing COVID to an institution where there are old people who can then interact with one another and also spread the disease amongst them. But also other ministers who deal with those who we have to consult, like Minister of Social Development, will also have the opportunity to come in front of you, so she can expand on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. We will then take additional questions because we have indeed answered those. The Minister is correct. On any relief for the industry, any economic sector industry, we are bringing the economic cluster tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in the same venue. So the question can then be repeated. Similarly, on issues of old age, we'll be having the social cluster now at 15 hours. So the Minister of Social Development, who's responsible for those areas, can also speak authoritatively on the areas that are housing our elderly, what our approach should be. But broadly, I think both colleagues have said we need to protect our elderly, including our own parents. That is the essence of these regulations around family visits, so that we don't, as these young ones who are doing everything, who are all over the place, then be the ones that takes this virus to our elderly. So that's basically what we are trying to safeguard around these issues of family visits. Again, colleagues have said it is also very difficult in a house or home setting to enforce these regulations. When people are behind closed doors, it's very difficult. Therefore, you can't be certain that all these health protocols are being followed to the T by the family as they visit. So the best thing is not to allow the visits, so that we protect not only those who are visiting, but also those who are being visited. Colleagues, can we now get to the next set of questions? Nanga?
The next question is from Anton from Pretoria FM, and it's also related to the ban on the sale of alcohol. He's asking, President Ramaphosa last night said there's now clear evidence that the resumption of alcohol has resulted in pressure being put on hospitals. Can you please share the numbers with us? How many trauma cases were alcohol related and which were recorded since the resumption of the sale of alcohol on the 1st of June?
Because we will not have come with the actual details. People who will come with the actual details is the Minister of Health, who will be with us at 15 hours. But indeed, the colleagues we do have the numbers as reported in the NCCC and Cabinet. So those numbers will be available from our Minister of Health and his team when they come here. But indeed, the colleagues can, of course, we also have another doctor, Dr. Zuma, who can speak authoritatively on this issue. But on actual numbers, we'll rely on the health team when they come at 15 hours.
Thank you, Minister. The following question is also a health-related question with regards to ventilators. Shall we park that as well for this afternoon?
Can we? Okay, just ask the question, because we are saying that if we can, we will do our best. But if we can't, indeed, health is coming. Just do read the question.
Okay. Vikas Berger from Netwerk 24 is asking, apparently field hospitals across the country, especially in Gauteng, are not equipped with the necessary equipment like ventilators. It is alleged that these field hospitals are in effect wards with beds but can't operate as a hospital. Is this true? Please provide the necessary details.
I can assure you that a person who will be able to answer that question authoritatively is the Minister of Health. Let's let's park that question for 15 hours.
Okay. The next question is from Vuyo Mboka from ENCA. He's asking, the Transport Minister will probably expand on it later, but as someone who put her signature to the regulations, what is your understanding of the rationale behind allowing taxis to operate at 100 capacity, yet churches, restaurants, casinos, and other sectors of the economy that are open are not allowed to do so? Angelo Capello from CGTN is asking, when will the ban on tobacco products sales be lifted? And
So from your panel.
I don't smoke, Minister.
And you the questioner, not you.
Nazir from Glow TV is asking, does the 100% allowance for taxi passengers also apply to private vehicles?
Okay. Perhaps we should say upfront that some of the transport questions will be better answered by the Minister of Transport, who will be with us, who will be speaking to the nation at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I think that will be better. Because again, even the Minister, when she was speaking about the numbers, 100% for local taxis and 70% for long distance, she also said a person who will be able to give more detail on those issues, a person who has also met with the taxi industry, will be the Minister of Transport. But I'm not saying that if colleagues want to say anything to give some light on these issues, they will not. But give us another question.
Angelo, it's also a transport-related question, is asking, can people travel across provincial borders for leisure purposes in a minibus taxi?
Was that person listening to the minister and the ministers? We have said that inter-provincial travel is prohibited. Is also in the regulations. Now, whether you are in a taxi or you are in a car or you are in a whatever, unless you are going to another province for something else, something like a funeral, something that you cannot just, that is an emergency, or you are a worker. You are a worker who's, or you are a school child. We have school children who basically are learning in the provinces that are next to their home states. So these are of course, all of them, without exception, will need to get the necessary permits, are permitted. So you will not be permitted if you are not going to another province for reasons that are not prohibited. So you'll only go to another province if you are going there for reasons that are allowed by the regulations. And the reasons that we have said up front are when there are deaths, unavoidable, of course, when people are going to those provinces for work-related purposes, or when people are going to those provinces for schooling purposes. But all of those will be having permits. By the way, there are roadblocks throughout the length and breadth of our country between the provinces. So you can't go to a province, another province, without the necessary permission that is has been given by the relevant authorities through a permit. Yes, sis? Are you done?
No,
Was
we're
that
not.
5?
Sorry?
There are 5.
Yes, the previous round was those are 5 questions.
So now you have also given us 5 questions.
Yes.
Colleagues, if you want to comment on the questions, I don't know who wants to start.
Just comment on the one issue that is a recurring theme on the questions, that the evidence and the issue of rationale. I can state that with regard to Cabinet's decisions and the National Command Council, we do receive evidence, and with regard to alcohol, tobacco, and including the issues that are being raised of taxes, we did receive evidence, and we are convinced that the decisions that we have taken are rationally related to the fight against COVID. I will not want to get into the stats and the trauma and so forth. Maybe Minister Dlamini Zuma is better placed, or Minister Mkhize, but I can state that the health did provide statistics which are a clear evidence that if we do not suspend the sale of alcohol with an immediate effect, the health sector is gonna really struggle, but the stats they will be able to provide. And the decisions are then looked at holistically to look into the rationality and whether they assist us to fight the battle against COVID. And I think even when the Minister of Transport comes, he will also be able to explain the rationality with regard to the issue of the 100% and the issues that the industry and the issues that have been engaged with health. What could it that could help to even cap in the form of the taxi, and why we ended up with 70% and 100% in some of in the long distance and also in short distance. Thank you.
Minister Dlamini Zuma.
Thank you very much. I think on the sale of alcohol, I think the minister has explained. The Minister of Health could bring the actual figures, and the Minister of Police can also bring figures around crime. But let me also just add that we've even got letters from doctors who are dealing with these issues in that space, who had also written on these issues. So it's not something that is not well supported by evidence. I just didn't bring the letters. Some were written to me as well, not just to the Minister of Health. So that is the situation. Ventilators, I think the Minister of Health will deal with. Tobacco, I've dealt with it. That the matters are in the court. I can't sit here now and debate court matters. On the taxes, the minister will explain, but I think we should just remind ourselves that the situation we are in is to balance saving of lives and livelihoods. And the transport system, particularly the taxi, are the backbone of our transport. And they are the backbone of transport used by people who go to work. So the balancing, but the ministers will explain, both the Minister of Health and Minister of Transport. Leisure, I think Minister Mthembu has explained, you cannot travel to the province, to another province without a permit and a special reason. Secondly, you can't travel for leisure anywhere in whatever form of transport. It's not permitted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Let's take another set of 5 questions.
Lizeka from News 24 is asking, Minister Mthembu, the President, while addressing SANEF, indicated that he would field questions from the media in his next address. Why has that not happened? Can you indicate if the President will eventually subject himself to media questioning? Tidi Madia from News 24 is asking, what is the logic behind... Oh, this question has actually been answered. It's also related to interprovincial traveling. I'll just skip that one. Vickers from News 24 is asking, do we understand this correctly? A person can get a criminal record for not wearing a mask in public. what is the fine or prison sentence for this now that masks are mandatory? Christian Duplessis is asking, how will government take into account the comments made by the public directed to the email address to be published in the Gazette, and how will the process work to finalize the comments, to analyze the comments? And Nazir from Glow TV is asking, will funerals be allowed after 9 p.m. given the fact that Muslims bury as soon as possible, and sometimes that is also in the evening? I have two more. Can I just have the two more?
Yeah.
Okay. And Umzwandile Mbeshe from the SABC is asking, will public transport be allowed between 9 p.m. and 4 a.m., which is the time of the curfew? And Alex from News 24 is asking, has there been an inability on the side of law enforcement to successfully deal with alcohol-related incidents? Thank you, Minister.
The last question, we will have the ministers of the JCPS cluster coming to speak to South Africa through this platform on Wednesday morning. So if we can allow that last question on police to be answered on Wednesday morning. Colleagues? Or maybe before you, let me answer my question. The first one was my question. That we assured the media. Yes, we are still repeating that assurance. By the way, the President has answered questions from ordinary South Africans and from the media. Recently, there was a snag. There was some disconnectivity that happened. But we are committed to the President engaging. In fact, it was a wonderful engagement. I watched it, where the media was also in attendance, ordinary South Africans. We called it virtual imbizo. So in that virtual imbizo, the intention of the President was to answer questions from any person in South Africa, including the media, and the media was there. So the commitment on the side of the President to answer questions to the media still stands. But let's differentiate between this session of answering questions and the President speaking to the nation. I mean, last night, it would have been impossible, because the intention of the address to the nation was basically to appraise the nation where we are in our fight against this deadly disease, and what measures are we taking, what decisions the NCCC has taken, what decisions Cabinet has taken. But we will still make available an opportunity for the media to ask questions. But on what the President has said last night, we are here to answer questions. We are right here, by the way. We are a collective. What the President said are decisions of the Cabinet. So we are able to take any questions on the matters that the President has raised yesterday. You have asked some questions, we have answered them. Colleagues? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. I think since we have a justice here, he'll answer about the fines and all that. The process of analyzing the comments, we have enlisted the help of the Human Research Council, HSRC, to assist us in this regard. So they are a professional institution that does this work. So they will analyze it for us professionally. Public transport, of course, there will be public transport to allow, as I said, some people may be starting their shift at 10 in the evening. So there will be public transport to allow them. And if there are health workers and others, but the Minister of Transport will explain the detail. But nobody will be left stranded who needs transport to go and perform a permitted service or essential service. I think the alcohol one, I think the minister has explained that the justice safety and security cluster will be coming. In terms of the Muslims, obviously, we did say that unless it's something you can't avoid, a funeral is unavoidable. So they will have a permit to bury even during the curfew, should it be necessary. So, yes, the answer is yes, they will be able to bury, should they need to bury around that time. I'll just leave the fine, the penalty or the justice issues to the Minister of Justice.
And before the Minister of Justice comes to the penalty issues, when Minister Dlamini Zuma started here, she made the point that all of us must be our brothers and our sisters' keepers. So the emphasis is on all of us wearing our masks, colleagues, wherever we are, particularly in public. That's the first point that we need to make, that we would like everybody to, in the churches, in the various places where commodities are sold, in our bazaar shops, in our malls, in our ShopRites, in our Checkers, all these areas, we would like the owners to ensure that everybody who comes to their shopping complex and to their shop wears a mask. So that is the starting point. And by the way, what we have seen so far, I think Minister Dlamini will also attest to this. In many areas, it's written in bold lettering that without a mask you can't get in. So already there is acceptance of this principle by many shop owners. And again, we have seen in many instances, even in our public transport. The other day, Minister Naledi Pandor was just alerting cabinet that, they got to a plane and all of them were wearing masks, and the lady came in with 2 children not wearing masks. The people in the plane, not government, the people in the plane then tackled the lady that, why are you not wearing a mask? Don't you see that you are putting all of us in danger and yourself too? And of course, she then reached out to her bag, got the mask, put the mask on, and assisted her kids as well with the mask. So that's the community and social mobilization that all of us must reach out to. So that when you are not wearing a mask, I think Umam Nkosazana forgot something around the ban of the smoking of tobacco in public places. It is now a norm. It is now a norm. When you smoke, whatever, we frown on you, but many people are not smoking in public. Not because there is some penalty associated, but it is just a social norm Maybe we must also make the wearing of masks to be a social norm, and that people adhere to this wearing of masks in the various places in the public domain. Babu,
Maybe let me just add that
yeah.
our hope actually is that no one will ever have to be fined for not wearing a mask. Our hope is that no one will ever get a criminal record for not wearing a mask, because everyone will wear a mask. As Minister Mthembu says, sometimes before we used to watch TV and see Chinese wearing masks. Sometimes you get in a plane, you find, before COVID-19, you find Chinese wearing masks in a plane, and all of us are not, and we look at them. But now, clearly for them, wearing a mask had begun to be a norm. And I think for us, we should not be worried too much about the fine, but we should be worried about wearing the mask.
Yeah.
Because the mask is to protect you and to protect the public. So that's what we should be all talking about. That's why we should be saying to somebody who's not wearing a mask, wear a mask, take off your t-shirt, put it on or whatever. Because it's not about criminalizing people. That's not the first point. It's not about criminalizing them. It's not about fining them. It's about protecting ourselves and all those around us. So I think if that message would be the first message, rather than that you are going to criminalize people who are not wearing a mask. Let's wear a mask and not endanger ourselves and other people. Thank you.
Minister Lamont.
Thank you very much. I think, firstly, what we are dealing with is that we had from the onset, you will realize that in the development of the issue of the mask, gave in the first regulations, there was no offense, no penalty. It was to encourage the public to wear the mask. The task was more on public education, which we are still continuing to date, and hence you can hear both ministers emphasizing the fact that individuals must take responsibility, and the public itself, in ensuring that members of the public, wherever they are, they must wear a mask. It must be embarrassing to move around without a mask. It must be cool to move with a mask. And it must be something which is becoming the new normal. We must normalize it as South Africans, that wherever we are, we must wear a mask. And hence, we were very reluctant from the beginning to criminalize this issue. But there have been instances where people have been irresponsible. They have not worn a mask when in public places, including in entering shops and in taxis and various platforms. And it has made the lives of even members of the public difficult, including law enforcement officers' life also very difficult if people are not wearing a mask in a particular place. So it does indeed create a criminal offense. So the current, as it stands, it does not differentiate between the fine and an imprisonment. Both of them do give you some kind of a criminal offense, and it's something which we are still dealing with. But at this stage, that is what it is. That is the law. And with regards to individuals, at this stage, we are still at the level where it is compulsory, but the obligation and the duty has been put on store managers, owners, building owners, and those that are responsible of various places where members of the public can congregate or find themselves in. Cabinet has for now also left the issue of individuals for now. And if we don't see any improvement in terms of the behavior, in terms of this public education that Minister Mthembu is talking about and Minister Dlamini Zuma is dealing with, we will then also impose the issue of criminality for individuals' duties and obligations to wear a mask. But at this stage, the obligation and the duty is on those that are responsible as compliance officers for buildings, like here in a government department or in a private company, the manager or whoever is a compliance officer, if it's a church, whoever is responsible, if it's a funeral, whoever is responsible to organize and all those. So that is where the duty and the obligation is. And I think it also goes with the spirit that we are all our brother's keeper and our sister's keeper, that we all have a responsibility to remind each other if we are not wearing a mask. And I must state that it's a decision that has not been taken lightly, but it has been necessitated by the various misdemeanors that has been found, that there are instances where even people in shops, they defy that they can't wear a mask. There is nothing that the shop owner can do because it is not a law. Thank you.
Now it is the law. The shop owner can not allow you to come in without a mask, because it is now the law. So that's why we talk of mandatory. The bus operator, if you are not wearing a mask, can indeed, with authority, not allow you to come into the bus. The bus driver of a taxi, if you are not wearing a mask, can indeed say to you, go and find your mask before you get into this taxi, because if I don't enforce the law, then I will be the one who will have to account. At the moment, as the ministers have said, the onus to enforce the mask wearing is on the shoulders of those who are shop owners, those who are allowing us into the taxis, the taxi operators, the bus operators, and of course, in the event of a church or a mosque, the responsibility lies with the leaders in our church formations to ensure that as we go to our churches, we are also wearing what is required by our law. That's basically what we mean by mandatory. And the minister is correct that at the moment, we will not like to criminalize anybody for not wearing a mask. And that's why the social mobilization will also be going to the various media platforms to put adverts on just the reasons why we need to wear masks. Will be on TV stations, will be on radio stations, will also be on our mobile phones, so that the message is carried to all our people on the importance of wearing of masks. So we believe that our people will definitely adhere to the wearing of masks, particularly in situations where they're in public and also where they must go to shops or shopping areas and shopping complexes. Thank you very much. I think we have answered all the questions. I hope there are none remaining now.
No,
Scribby.
yes, thank you, Minister.
So, colleagues, we would like to thank Minister Dlamini Zuma for the wonderful announcements on our regulations. Also thank Minister Ulamula also as well for his contribution in this press briefing. We have made available the regulations through our platforms to the media. So the media does have all the regulations, and we have responded adequately to questions that have been asked. Having said that, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, we are having the social cluster of government. It will be led by Minister of Health, Minister Zweli Mkhize, on the measures that we are taking to combat the spread of the virus as we continue our fight to save lives in our country. So we will then await to see you as members of the media at 3 o'clock. But again, let me join our colleagues in thanking all those who have listened to this broadcast. We really value that you took time to listen to what government has got to say around regulations. So to our people at home, to our people in various institutions, to the media fraternity, we don't take your playing your part for granted. And this is what we keep on saying, that all of us need to play our part as soldiers in the war against this coronavirus. So we appreciate that your playing your part is listening to what we are proposing, what we are putting in the public domain as government. But also we are putting an email address where you can give us your ideas and where you can make your comments on the measures and the regulations that we have gazetted. And not only end there, but if there are any suggestions that you would like to make, you can make them through this address that Nongeba will now read to the public. I'll find the email address, Nongeba, so that all of us are able to use that email address to comment on the regulations that we have just announced, but that we gazetted yesterday, and we have made them available to all our media fraternity. Do you have it?
Yes, I do, Minister.
Will you show me?
It is yshean@hsrc.ac.za.
Can we repeat the address again? Is it not Ystream?
No, there's
It's Y?
it's, is it?
Oh, yeah. The address that we are announcing now is for comments, public comments on the regulations, by the way. Any comments that you like to make on the regulations, I'll request that we repeat why the address.
Yeah, no, apparently the one that I just read is not the correct one. It's comments at COGTA.
Lungi, awusincedise lapho Lungi. Lungi yasmosh. Umnikeze right much. Okay.
Yes, Minister. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I think there was a bit of a glitch. Yes, it's comments at hsrc.ac.za. So comments at hsrc.ac.za. But I'm sure we'll obviously also post it on all the official government platforms as well.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
That's the address that comments can be directed to on the regulations. because we would like our people to also participate and make us wiser on the regulations that we have promulgated. So it comments at hsrc.ac.za.
Yes.
Comments at hsrc.ac.za. So that's where comments can be directed. I hope you have given us the right one. Look, that's the correct one. So that's where comments can be directed on the regulations that we have gazetted, and also on the regulations that we have spoken to here through this platform. We will await your comments so that we are able to get your views on these regulations. This is what we call public consultation. Basho njalo ke laba zisilungu sis. But it's called public consultation. So we are consulting, and so that you can make your own comments on this issue. You want to say something, sis?
NgesiZulu inhlolovo sihlola uvo lomphakathi.
Yes.
Yebo.
Sivile ke ngesizulu kuthiwa inhlolovo. Sihlola uvo lomphakathi ngala ma regulations eseswafake emthethweni esanda ukukhuluma ngawo manje, and in English we call it consultation with the public consultation. Colleagues, thank you, Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Thank you very much, Minister Ronald Lamula. Thank you very much to our people at home who are listening here. At 15 hours, we are back here again with Minister Zweli Mkhize and other ministers in the social cluster. Thank you, and thank you very much.
And all the